Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. As I said, presented by, did you hear me? Picasso's Pizza. How cool is that? That's super duper cool. We are presented by Picasso's Pizza, and you should treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's, we are Buffalo. We are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order your Picasso's Pizza online at picassospizza.net. How sweet is that? I don't know how to get through this intro anymore because there's so much stuff, but brought to you by Picasso's Pizza, I should say presented by Picasso's Pizza. I'm the host of the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show. I'm going to have to work on that before the season starts because it's gotten super duper like crazy wordy up in here. But I am the host of this show. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. It's always good to be with every single one of you guys. All of you guys are piling into the chat. So good to have you live. This is a live recording of a podcast. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and you are more than welcome to like and subscribe on whatever network platform that you are consuming this podcast in, including on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Please like and subscribe to the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on there's a million of them. Verbal. I can't even think of all of them. Like there's 1,000 of them, but it's so good to have every single one of you guys here with me for the recording of this episode, this live recording. Once again, we're going to talk some stuff. We're going to talk some Bill stuff, some training camp stuff. We're going to talk about some rabid fans. I'm probably not going to talk about said rabid fans throwing things at the players, but I'm going to talk about the rabid fans in epic proportions. Bills Mafia is about to come unhinged in a lot of ways, which is absolutely crazy. Extreme heat and an even hotter offense. And let's be honest, this whole team is just hot. They're just extremely hot. More camp fights, injuries, players not in attendance, wide receivers. But first, as always, whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, at the gym with your AirPods in, on the drive to work, or watching me live right now, let me just say one more time, welcome. It's so good to have all of you up in here. There's a ton of you piling into the chat right now, and I appreciate every single one of you, and I appreciate the fact that you were here with me. As I said earlier, just remember this is a live recording of a podcast, and if you would like to get my attention, I'll do my best to pay attention to the chat, but if you want to get my attention, don't be afraid to super chat me. It shows up on my screen on YouTube. If you got to jump to YouTube first, super chat me, shows up on my screen highlighted, and then it'll get my attention, and if you have a comment or a question, I will respond as such. Sorry about that. We are just about a month away. Just about a month away from the start of the season. However, the first preseason game is this Saturday, August 13th, against the new look Indianapolis Colts, who are now featuring a new quarterback, Matt Ryan. This is the only team in the South that's even notable, right? This is the only team in the AFC South that anybody even has to be worried about. Obviously, the Colts came in to Buffalo last year and thumped us something hardcore. That was without Matt Ryan. They themselves removed their former quarterback from the game completely and just ran Jonathan Taylor straight down our throat. Now they've got Matt Ryan, who is more than capable of playing quarterback in the NFL with a guy like Frank Reich. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what that football team does. But if you want to get a look at that football team live, they will actually be in Buffalo this weekend on Saturday. That game is at 1:00. And I am going to be at a family reunion. So I am not going to be able to attend that football game. So what that means for you and all of my listeners, my faithful, awesome Bills Mafia rabid fan base listeners, fan base of the Bills, not fan base of me, fan base of the Bills, rabid listeners, is I have 2 tickets that I need to effectively give away. I've got 2 tickets. They are my seats. They are the seats that I sit in every single weekend when the Bills are home, unless I can't make a game like this weekend. Last year, Amanda and her husband actually used one of my preseason games and sat in my seats, and Amanda's in the chat right now. She can tell you that my seats are pretty good. If you want to be on the sideline, like right at the rail on the sideline where you can't see the football game, these are not those seats. My seats are actually in row 1 of the upper deck around the 27-yard line, and they are wonderfully placed to watch a football game, to take in a football game. They are on the sun side of the stadium, and this game, I believe, is at 1 o'clock, which means you're probably going to roast. It might be at 4 o'clock. I know that it's in the afternoon on Saturday, so if we still have the heat that we've got going on right now in Buffalo, it's going to be warm, so dress appropriately. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give 2 tickets away. Oh, that's right. Richard Rush is sat in my seats as well. I forgot about that. So Richard Rush is in the chat, and he is sat in my seats. We are going to give these tickets away. We're going to give them away. I'm going to do a little bit of a weird contest. I'm going to do a contest based around something I put in the chat a couple minutes ago, and I'm going to put it in the chat again right now. Hopefully it doesn't navigate you completely away from what we're doing here. But I am going to start doing some extra exclusive content during the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, potentially Saturday. I'm going to do what you want to call it, like predictions. I'm going to do, if you remember, I've done the Time to Shine was last year. Before that, before I was doing the show live, I was doing a prediction show for Overreaction, just an Overreaction prediction show. I'm not doing Time to Shine this year. It just 4 was too many. 4 like full on shows was too many. I'm excited to do a bunch of like mini things, like just short segment based content and a lot of fun stuff. Bring on some guests real fast for like some rapid fire type stuff. Just breakdowns real quick of what happened in the AFC East. When you think about like, predictions, rundowns, like I said, exclusive videos, interviews at practices. So if I'm at a practice and I'm sitting next to, like this past week, I sat next to Thomas DeLass from Buffalo Late Night. I've sat next to Pat Moran before. I've sat next to the Maniac. So just to be able to go and have some place to put this stuff, like if I wanted to interview them real quick. So I have a YouTube channel over the Overreaction Sports Show on YouTube. I put the link in the chat, and if you just basically go to YouTube and you search Overreaction Sports Show, it's going to pop up with my Buffalo head logo that's there. And what we're going to do is this for the contest. So I'm going to start the contest right now. And half of you, a lot of you have already like completed the first, like check the first box. The first box is to follow me on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, so check box number 1, follow me on Twitter, Joe Miller Wired. And then you go over and you subscribe. And basically what I think I need is a screenshot, if you will, of you having subscribed to the Overreaction Sports Show YouTube, and then DM that to me in my Twitter feed. And what I'll do is I'll take all those DMs and then I'll pick a winner on the Hump Day Hotline on Wednesday. So that is the contest that we're going to run. Follow me on Twitter, right? So follow me on Twitter, Joe Miller Wired, and then jump over to YouTube, search Overreaction Sports Show. That's this show. That's the content that I create, Overreaction Sports, and subscribe to that channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a winner for those 2 seats. They're section 313, row 1, seats 18 and 19. I just gave away basically my address on the air at One Bills Drive. Those are where my seats are. They're great seats. If you're looking to go to the football game, if you're in a situation where you're not going to get to go to a game this season, if you're going to be in town this weekend, whatever it is, or if you just want a chance to win some free tickets, this is where you want to be. You want these seats. They're great seats. Again, support me as I'm going to look to kind of expand. I've had the itch to do this for a while. I wanted to do this last year. A lot of the short segment stuff, like little 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute things. And it just never materialized. It just didn't work out. And this year I'm committed to doing it. I've got a new job where I've got actually a little more, not free time, but I've got more flexibility. I work from home. So for me to sit in front of this blue screen behind me with my ugly face on it, my name, it's a lot easier for me just to sit down and like rip out like a 10-minute little bit. So that is the contest. If you want to go to the game, if you want to use my seats, I'm going to pick the winner live on the Hump Day Hotline Wednesday. Follow me on Twitter. Take a screenshot of you having subscribed to the Overreaction Sports Show YouTube, and then I will pick the winner, like I said, on Wednesday on the Hump Day Hotline. Yeah, the biggest news of the weekend, now that we're moving on from that, the biggest news of the weekend was effectively Josh Allen. If you've been living under a rock, a lot of Buffalo Bills fans, a lot of Bills Mafia what is the word? Got like the tease of a lifetime. If there was a tease of all teases, the tease of a lifetime actually happened this Friday at the return of the Red and Blue game, Red versus Blue game, which is a scrimmage that the Bills put on every year. Josh Allen walked out of the tunnel in a red helmet. And Bills Mafia around the world lost their mind. And I would like to say, if you timestamp stuff and you go back and look, I think I was the first person that captured it and tweeted it. So maybe by a minute, not by a lot. And it was a blurry picture from a long ways away. But it was an incredible moment to see Josh Allen kind of come out. I'm not so sure that the red helmet matched the red jersey, and the red helmet had blue stripes on it, which was really kind of strange. I'm not opposed. I don't know where you land. Throw in the comments section. I don't know where you land on the whole red helmet thing. I like the red helmets. I'm kind of a fan of the white helmets. I really dug the white helmets when they brought them back during the Fitzy era. And I'm not necessarily sure I want to go back to red. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a PTSD thing for me with the Super Bowl years. The red is nice, but the white is traditional. The white is, Ferguson, right? Joe Ferguson, white helmets. And then obviously Joe, they claim, because I don't know if you guys know the history about this. They claimed that Joe had trouble recognizing his own players, because so many teams had white helmets back then. So they changed to red. And then obviously Jim Kelly came in, and then, the red went crazy because we went to 4 Super Bowls. But Josh Allen comes out of the tunnel in a red helmet and then immediately swapped it. And then I should have pulled it up. And then Kyle Naps actually had the greatest little quote ever about how I don't give a crap about fines. I've made so much money that I don't, I'll just pay all the fines. That was not a real quote, but Kyle has been doing very, very well of kind of throwing up these fake quotes lately, and they've been blowing up, and Kyle's a good dude, and I like him. He's a friend of mine. But other big news of the day, the Buffalo Bills today have extended Reggie Gilliam. Why? Because fullbacks freaking matter, and especially they matter to this football team. If you don't know Reggie, if you've not met Reggie is an awesome guy. My guy, Jay Spence the King, credited with basically predicting him to make the roster the first season he was here. He was like, we did our first roster prediction show, and he's like, Reggie Gilliam's making this team. And I was like, who? Who's making this football team? He goes, Reggie Gilliam. I'm like, okay, if you say so. So that was on his list. And sure enough, Reggie made the team. And Reggie has since then also been extended as of today. Now, that does not mean that the Bills are not currently, for those of you that are worried, have not been working on an extension for for Jordan Poyer. I'm sure that they can do things simultaneously, but as of this moment, the extension has gone to Reggie Gilliam, and I'm excited to have him here. Hey, Bills Mafia, we all know Buffalo is a drinking town with a football problem. And just like Allen to Diggs touchdown passes, I have the perfect pass for you. The Trail Pass, that is. The Western New York Beer Trail and the 2022 Trail Pass is your passport to great local craft beer and other craft beverages in Western New York. When you purchase and use a Trail Pass, you can get 2 half-priced beers at 42 different area breweries, bottle shops, and pubs, including a meadery, a cider works, and a distillery. And you score over $350 of savings inside the pass. Just like a Bills-Patriots playoff game, you score every single time you use it. The 2022 Trail Pass is good now through the end of the year and is available along with other beer trail items at the website. It's on the screen right now, www.wnYbeertrail.com. That website again, www.wnYbeertrail.com. Click on the shop tab when you get to the website. They also can be found at the Totally Buffalo store in Amherst and Orchard Park, Buffalo Gift Emporium in Tonawanda, and at One-Eyed Cat Brewing in Williamsville. We at Western New York Beer Trail are proud to support everything local craft beer, small business, and local charities. Watch for our meetups and our fundraising events along the way as well. Western New York Beer Trail. Drink local, support local. We will see you on the trail. Do me a favor, jump over to www.wnYbeertrail.com and sign up, especially if you're into craft brews and stuff like that. So please support local. They support local. You should support local as well. Back to what we're here to talk about. Right? I don't know why my other screen is not popped up. There it is. Found it. Training camp practice. August 7th on Sunday. Good news, super good news for the Buffalo Bills, super good news for us, because if you've been listening to this show at all, or the Phoenix Show or the Hump Day Hotline when I've talked about it, this offensive line has not been looking very good throughout training camp. There was one video that was posted, I believe, from Thursday's practice where Josh Allen had a super clean pocket, and off his back foot, he flung like a 45-yard pass into the end zone that was hauled in for a touchdown. And I retweeted it, and I said, that's the cleanest pocket I've seen Josh Allen have in 3 practices. I've been to 3 practices so far. I went to the return of the blue and red game, and that offensive line has struggled a little bit. Good news, though, on the front. Roger Saffold is officially returned off the NFI list, but he was limited today. Roger Saffold, for those of you that don't know, he is going to play left guard. Up to this point, Bobby Hart has been playing left guard throughout training camp, and to be honest with you, he hasn't done horribly bad. He's probably a better left guard than he is a left tackle. I think we are all a little leery of him ever going into a game and playing left tackle. My guess is he's a lunch pail guy, and the staff just loves him. But Roger Saffold, he was involved in a car accident, non-football injury, NFI. That's what that means. This past offseason that left him dealing with a rib injury. He was spotted. I saw him last week actually doing some side, like off the field work. I think he was in street clothes. Not street clothes like jeans and a t-shirt. He was in shorts, right, and a t-shirt, like a workout shirt, but he wasn't in pads. He wasn't like geared up or anything like that. Also, Spencer Brown is progressing from what I believe is a back injury. He did some individual like drills today, which he's been doing individual, but he also did some one-on-one work today. So he's probably right around the corner from going back into kind of the lineup, the first team lineup, taking first team reps at right tackle. Micah Hyde was a full go on Friday. He was out there dancing around, having a blast. And Jordan Poyer, who hyperextended his left elbow on, I believe it was Tuesday. Did I go Monday, Tuesday? I went Monday, Tuesday. He is going to be out for about 3 to 4 weeks. And we hope, because we love you, Jordan, and with the news of Reggie Gilliam getting re-signed, that they are working on your extension right now. Brandon Beane, like at his laptop, in his dorm room, at St. John Fisher. By the way, has anybody watched any of the total sidebar rant? Has anybody watched, which is probably why you guys watch this show or listen to this show, has anybody watched any of the NFL training camp live stuff? Anyone? Bueller? The NFL training camp live, inside training camp, is actually great coverage. And they start, so Good Morning Football, which is awful now with Kay and Nate gone. I love you, Kyle Brandt, but we got to do something about that show. It ends at what? It goes from 7 to 10, and then at 10 o'clock they start, right? So NFL training camp live, and they go all around, and they go through like 3 o'clock, and it's great to watch. The problem is they were at Bills camp, I believe, on Monday. Is that right? Or Wednesday? Maybe it was Wednesday. One of the days last week. Look at me. I'm totally sideways. And they kept saying St. John's Fisher College, St. John's Fisher. And it was really, really annoying to me. So it's not St. John. So Brandon Beane over at St. John Fisher College, hopefully right now, is pounding away on his keyboard, working with, Drew Rosenhaus to get Jordan re-signed. Also today, or I should say Sunday, Center Mitch Morse had a little bit of a what we believe is a vet rest day. Khalil Shakir also was off. They were both spotted working on the exercise bikes. I was not there in attendance for practice. A wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie and Taron Johnson were also not on the field for practice today. For Morse, McKenzie, Johnson, probably, like I said a second ago, veteran rest days. Who knows necessarily for what's going on with Khalil Shakir. My guess is he's okay. He might be cramped. He might be sore. I know this. Several of the players were sore from Friday. Just that scrimmage that the Bills went through. We're going to get into that in a second because it was a lot of fun. And the Bills did something a little bit different. I think that's my third red versus blue game that I went to, and they did a lot more scrimmage work than I've ever seen them do. Per Ryan Talbot, Jamison Crowder was noticed working on his chemistry today with Josh Allen. And I would say this, as far as that goes, it has been obvious to me that Jamison Crowder's absence from camp was noticeable in practice when he returned. Just not on the same page, not running the right routes, not really kind of sure where he was supposed to be, going out when he was supposed to go in, going in when he was supposed to go out, just not really on the same page. So to know that he's working with Josh Allen to kind of build some of that chemistry, that's a good thing. But you got to think that with Khalil out, because Khalil Shakir has been we talk about the word flash, right? And that's a big word for like a guy like Tremaine Edmonds. We've heard that even Leslie Frazier has said that, a guy like Tremaine Edmonds brings a solid workload. He brings a great work ethic. He's the quarterback of the defense. He makes plays. He's got the stats. He's got the numbers, but he doesn't have those flash plays. And we heard Leslie Frazier and a lot of Bills media content creators, whether full-time employed or hobbyists like myself, talk about that he needs to start making flash plays, and he has. And that's the one thing that Khalil Shakir has been making as well, even on Friday in that scrimmage. Khalil just looks the part. He absolutely 100% looks the part as what I believe is a 5th-round pick. It's exciting to see him, but with him being off, with Isaiah McKenzie getting a little bit of a break, it's an opportunity for Tavon Austin and Jamison Crowder to get some reps, some extra reps. I don't know that they're going to I wasn't there. I'd like to know who slid into that slot, that number 1 slot spot for the first team. If there's somebody that was there today, which one? If somebody was at practice today in the comments section, so I'm going to look at the comment section. Can you tell me from a first team rep standpoint, who is the number 1, the first team slot receiver with McKenzie out? Was it automatically Crowder? That's the question, because I would think it would be McKenzie, Khalil Shakir, and then Crowder. Or was there a random person that maybe we wouldn't expect that was put into the slot? So was anybody in the chat, announcing it again, was anybody in the chat at camp today, and did you pay attention to the first team reps and who was in the slot? Anyone? Bueller? I'll move on. Hopefully we'll come back to it. We'll see. But this is what I would say. And there's a reason I'm asking this question. And the reason is this. There is one guy that nobody is really talking about. And I get it. It's not sexy right now. It's not super cool to talk about this guy. We've got, Little Dirty. We've got, Muscle Hamster. In Isaiah McKenzie, number 6, stepping into Beasley's role, right? We've got Khalil Shakir, the flashy new rookie wide receiver that's out there. We like that guy. He's totally cool. Obviously, Gabe Davis is the story, and Stephon Diggs is the story, and you got Tanner Gentry, who's Josh Allen's guy from college. So we'll see what happens with that guy. There's a lot of talent on this football team. Touchdown Jesus. Everybody's got a nickname. It's so cool because everybody's got a nickname. And Touchdown Jesus. We all love Touchdown Jesus. But there's one dude, and you already know who I'm going to talk about. Lone Wolf says that's the first time I've looked at the chat. That is not true, Lone Wolf. I've looked at the chat many times. The problem is this. I'm ADD. All right? Not bad ADD, but enough ADD to be like, squirrel. And there are other content creators that don't outline. I'm just going to say it. They don't outline maybe as well as I do. And if they don't outline as well as I do, then they look at the chat and somebody asks a question or makes a comment, and then they go on a tirade, which I'm about to do, right? Or which is what I'm doing right now. And I know you're busting my balls. That's why it's hysterical. I get distracted easy. I don't know what to tell you. I think, Lone Wolf, I think you're here because you love it. I think you love Jessica Tennis says I'm focused on myself. That is not true. That is completely not true. If I had a producer, listen, what you don't understand is I don't have any help in this Buffalo Rumblings show. And it sounds like I just blamed this all on Buffalo Rumblings. This actually isn't. This isn't on Buffalo Rumblings, but Thomas DeLoss has a producer. There's dudes out there that have a guy behind the scenes that's working all the chat and doing all that kind of stuff. Dude, all this, when it comes to finding the reads, throwing up the graphics, playing the videos, all that kind of stuff, I'm a solo project. There is nobody else here. There's nobody else online. It's you guys and it's me. And this is a lot of fun. You did it to me. See, squirrel, you did it. You absolutely did it. Good for you. Daniel Frederick says Club ADHD. Well, I'm not ADHD, but I'm pretty ADD. It's just kind of one of those things. And it is a boohoo thing, Jessica Tennis. I'm sad. You would think that people would be jumping at the opportunity to work with a guy like me. You would think that, would you? I can't even say it without laughing. And yes, Spin, I am making excuses because if I don't make them, nobody's going to make them for me. That's why I love it when Chris Jenke is in the room, because he corrects me because I say the wrong thing all the freaking time. Anyways, getting back on point. There's one guy that is not necessarily fun to talk about. It was funny because he was fun to talk about for about 10 minutes in what I believe was 2020. Is it right? 2021? Yes, 2020. There's one guy that has been flashing. There's one guy that I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about because my heart is in his camp. I want him to make the team really, really bad. I'm a believer in him. I know the man. I have conversations with him. He's a good dude. And that guy is Isaiah Hodgins. Isaiah Hodgins is the dude that's lost. When you just sit back and think about it, with all the Bills camp stuff that you've read, by and large, I'm not saying completely. There are people that have done some reports. I'm going to read one here in a second from Ryan Talbot. Nobody is talking about Isaiah Hodgins. The point was made, and it was strongly made last year. It was made again this year when Jay Spencer King and I did our roster projections. Jay Spence said, if I'm a betting man when it comes to roster projections, when it comes to who's making this football team as a wide receiver, my money is going to Jake Kumerow, touchdown Jesus, because he plays special teams. It's true. And I would say, you're right, 100%. Kumerow is a special teamer. And when you're talking about being the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh guy on the roster as a wide receiver, you've got to play special teams. However, the thing that was surprising to me through camp, and I know that Isaiah worked very hard at bulking up and getting stronger, is that he has been playing special teams. He's been playing as a gunner. He's been playing inside. And he's actually, as I have watched the 3 days I've been in camp and then Friday, he's winning a lot of his battles. And that has nothing to do with or to say or talk about the way that he has flashed on the field and the way that he's played. He is playing well. And it's showing by effectively where the coaching staff has put him. He is the second team X receiver. Isaiah Hodgins has been, up to this point, the second team X receiver. And he is flashing at camp. I Mike 23 just super chats me and just gives me the squirrel emoji. So Buff Hub says, bro, I don't agree with this. I don't think he's an Easley. I don't think he's I mean, I don't know what you mean. You might have to expound upon that. By what do you mean? Like, Easley was a fan favorite, right? I was a big Easley fan, but Easley had limitations in his game, had some issues with soft tissue injuries, which clearly Isaiah does as well. And this is actually not Hodgins' contract almost up once, 20 million per. I don't know what you're talking. He just got signed to a futures contract. So that is absolutely not correct. Anyways, getting back to it. So he's bulked up. The Buffalo Bills are giving him every chance to make this roster. So the Buffalo, I know this about this coaching staff from talking to several people. They value players. You've heard me say this before. Specifically wide receivers that know all of the positions. And Gabe Davis and Isaiah Hodgins are two of the guys on this roster. I'm not saying the only two, but it's not all of them. They are two of the guys that know every route tree in every position, the X, Y, and the Z on this roster as wide receivers. Isaiah Hodgins is the number 2 guy at the X behind Stephon Diggs right now in camp. That doesn't mean that when the season starts, he's the second string guy. That's not what that means. What I'm saying is when the second team comes out, Isaiah Hodgins is the number 2 guy. Or I should say he's the X receiver. This isn't brand new information. I gave you guys this information last week, just kind of off the cuff. I read you effectively who the first team wide receivers were. It was Diggs, it was Davis, it was McKenzie, who the second team receivers were. It was Hodgins. I don't remember for the life of me who was on the outside. And then it was Khalil Shakir on the inside. And then I read you who the third team receivers were. This is not new information for you. Isaiah Hodgins is also, from what I've noticed, what I've witnessed in camp, the only guy that moves to the slot. He's the only outside guy that kind of moves to the slot, which is an interesting kind of point of note. And they're putting him on, as I said, special teams. Now, granted, Kumerow's been hurt. Crowder's been hurt. There's been some guys that, are not super playing well. But the guy that everybody is sleeping on is Isaiah Hodgins. Ryan Talbot had this to say today after practice. Isaiah Hodgins is stacking days. And if you went to camp on Friday, you saw Hodgins catching a crap ton of balls. Toe touch type balls as well, especially down the stretch. The last 2-minute drill was actually 1:08, I believe is what they put at the clock. The last 1:08, he had 3 toe touches along the sideline from Matt Barkley. Because at that point in time, there was no more X receivers. He was the only guy left. Because Diggs had taken, I think he'd taken his shoulder pads off at that point. Ryan Talbot says this: Hodgins is stringing together his best training camp to date as a member of the Buffalo Bills. The same Isaiah Hodgins, who the media was raving about in 2020, saying he may have been the best pick of that draft before they shut him down with the shoulder injury. At Sunday's practice, Hodgins was targeted early and often. I don't know what it's going to take. I know that he doesn't have a nickname. I know that he's not Muscle Hamster. I know that he's not Touchdown Jesus. I know that he's not the rookie. Hodgins was targeted early and often, and he hauled in most of the targets thrown his way and almost pulled in a sideline ball that was just off the mark. And this is where it gets interesting, because I'm not here to predict anything. I mean, I'll do a prediction show, but I'm not here necessarily right now. Buffalo has a loaded wide receiver room, but Hodgins is doing everything in his power to show the Bills that he deserves one of the team's final roster spots at receiver. And the backing to that, everybody needs a foundation, right? If you're gonna make a statement, you better back it up. The backing to that is whether or not he can succeed or be a force on special teams. I saw him rip and run a guy on Friday. What's that mean? So when you're blocking for punt coverage, right? When you're in the fray, when you're on the line of scrimmage and you're one of the outside guys, obviously the ball snapped, everybody presses, they come into you. I saw him grab a guy's shoulder inside of his pads, grab like in the chest area. I saw him push him away, and then ripped him down to the ground. So basically he threw him to the ground and then he took off, which is, for all intents and purposes, an elite pass rusher move, or pass coverage move, or punt coverage move. Sorry, I apologize. An elite punt coverage move from Isaiah Hodgins. Everybody, I'm not saying he's going to make the team, but what I'm saying is on Saturday, when you're watching this preseason football game, if you go to camp between now and Saturday, through the rest of this preseason, keep your eyes on number 16. Because number 16 is playing good football in this camp. He's going to make it very difficult, in my opinion, for the Bills to cut him. And where this gets interesting is if he makes it incredibly difficult for the Bills to cut him, who goes? Because as Ryan Talbot said, this room is deep. I have pictured in my mind, I've thought about in my own head, like, how am I going to feel if I see Jake Kumerow's been cut on cutdown day? Because Jake Kumerow's a good wide receiver. He's a good special teams player. I don't know how they're going to make some of these decisions. It's going to be interesting to see. And I don't know how I'm going to feel if I see Jamison Crowder has been cut from this football team. You've heard me and Jay Spence say it like a ton through the offseason that the Bills basically signed away, not basically, they did. They signed away the best weapon the Jets had in Jamison Crowder and stole him for, what is it, $3 million? $2.5, $3 million? I mean, what does it mean? What does it say if Jamison Crowder gets cut and the Bills keep Kumerow and Isaiah Hodgins? Again, if we're being honest, Jamison Crowder is another one of those guys that's not going to play special teams unless he does punt returns or kick returns, which I don't believe I've seen him line up at yet at all. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, brought to you by the Market Dominator. Who is the Market Dominator? Well, the Market Dominator is my great friend, John Spazcheck. I've got a little message for you from John. Take a look, and I hope you are entertained.
Introducing the Market Dominator.
Folks, I'm John Spazcheck. That's right, the Market Dominator. And I am the proud sponsor of the Overreaction podcast, hosted by my good friend, Joe Miller. You know, his approach is absolutely outstanding. It's excellent. And that's what our approach is when we get into real estate. We help our clients win, just like our beloved team is doing week in and week out. So folks, if you want somebody representing you with the most cutting edge technology, using artificial intelligence and everything we can get our hands on to help you win, you reach out to me directly, 716-570-3298. We will answer our phone. And one more thing, go Bills.
Go Bills. That's my guy, John Spazcheck. If you are in the market to buy or sell a home, please call John Spazcheck. He will answer his phone, 716-570-3298. That number again, 716-570-3298. John's my guy. He's my guy. And I will ride or die with my guy. I love John. So there's a lot of conversation going on, and I love the conversation. This I talked to you guys last week, I think, about this is the place to, your eyes should, if you're at camp, if you're watching preseason, if you went to the red versus blue game, your eyes need to be on the wide receivers, because watching who's where and who is when and what guys are rotating in and who's getting sat and who's sliding in different spots and who's moving around a little bit, you know, and what you see, this is, in my opinion, the story of preseason this year. So it's cool to see you guys talking about it. I love it. Jessica Tennis coming in with a super chat. Touchdown Jesus and Crowder will not be cut. She says, if anything, they will be traded. Well, that is potentially true. I don't disagree. However, you've got to have a trade partner, right? It always comes down to a trade partner. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, I would prefer to see the Bills get a fifth or a sixth. And it's like, well, who cares about a fifth or a sixth? Well, Khalil Shakir was a fifth-round pick. We saw what Brandon Beane did or has done. We've kind of seen what he's done with that pick thus far. But let's talk about, we're going to wrap up the show. We might, I say this all the time and it's never true, but I'm going to keep saying it. We might get you out of here a little early. Let's talk about the red versus blue game real quick. What do you think about that? I don't know what is going on. Elliot Eisler says, I've humped things for you, Joe. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know what I missed in the chat. I know that this is a Hump Day Hotline reference, but I jump on the like button. So I guess I haven't really talked. What do you know? The likes are at 16. And what number does Isaiah Hodgins wear? 16. It's a sign. It's a sign from the Almighty. That's what that means. Actually, I can make it 17 right now, but I don't know what that means. But Elliot, I love you, dude. I don't even, oh my gosh. Anyways, how am I supposed to recover from that? You guys are. Oh, good God. Anyway, I don't think I've got notes because I don't know where I would go from here. I'm just reading the comments now. Like literally, I'm just going to sit here and read the comments. You guys are incredible. Oh, dear Lord. To say that how am I supposed to restart? To say that the excitement is an understatement. To say that there is excitement. See, I can't even read my notes now. To say that there is an excitement around this football team is an understatement. When we're talking about this football game or this scrimmage, this red versus blue scrimmage on Friday, was it 35,915 people were in attendance? And that's just off the top of my head. I think that's what the number was. I believe they gave away 70,000 tickets. I had people texting me going, can you save me a seat? And I'm like, maybe. I hope so. Even with only half of the people coming at 36,000 in attendance, that lower bowl was full. It was something to see. I went to all the open practices last year. I've been to the red versus blue games before. This one was just, it was just another level. The anticipation around this football team, I don't even know how to describe it. With the 90s teams, you just knew they were good. Now, obviously, the access that we have to them today with YouTube and social media, like, I mean, for God's sakes, we can literally follow Josh Allen and read the things that are on his mind if he tweets said things on a daily basis. All the players that are on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, whatever. Cole Beasley was Instagramming today, his family at the beach. It was actually nice to see. The access we have today is ridiculous. The coverage we have today is ridiculous. But I don't know, because of, you just knew back then, for those that are older fans and remember, and for the younger fans that don't, you just knew that football team in the 90s was good. Like, they're good. Period. Dot. At the end of the sentence. They're good. Period. There's a different anticipation or excitement level around this team than I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that 90s team wasn't likable, or that it wasn't, I'll use the word attractional. But this team is very likable, and this team is very attractional, and this team is very family oriented. And I know that team was family oriented, but they were family oriented in almost, I don't want to say clothed, veiled. We all knew that they were getting together at Jim's house after games and whatever, and yada, yada, yada. But it's just different right now. The excitement and anticipation around this team is very, very wild. It was hot in that stadium on Friday, but it was an incredible scrimmage. They were rolling. So for those of you that were not there, they were rolling drives by teams. And what I mean by teams, first team versus first team. So first team offense versus first team defense, situational football, right? And then they would do the same exact situation, second team versus second team, same situation, third team versus third team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and they scrimmaged for a long time. It wasn't like they went out there and in years past and they stretched. They did stretch and then did team drills. They did do some team drills, but before they didn't scrimmage for that long. This time they scrimmaged for a while. And if I had to guess, if I had to guess, the reason that they scrimmaged as much as they did was because Ken Dorsey, see me put Brian Dable and Ken Dorsey in the same sentence. Ken Dorsey literally, I think he was in the booth. We know that. And he was trying to get a feel for what was going to happen. So I think there's a great deal of like working through the wrinkles. Like, what is this going to be like? What am I seeing? What am I doing? Getting the calls in, getting the plays in, all that kind of stuff, which is why I think that scrimmage session was so long, but it was great. It was incredible to watch that scrimmage session. The team, both on offense and defense, is efficient and thorough. They're doing things, in my opinion, with excellence. Now, clearly, when the bullets, as they say, start flying, we're going to find out a whole lot more about this football team and missed assignments and missed blocks. And John Fina is going to be really big about letting us know on the Fina show on Mondays who missed a block, because a lot of times us as fans, we see something and we're like, that was all Spencer Brown's fault. And John's like, actually, it wasn't Spencer Brown's fault at all. It was Dawson Knox's fault. And it's like, oh, okay, right? So, but they seem to be very efficient, very thorough, but they're loose at the same time. They're out there having fun. One of the things that I have not seen covered, which was an absolute hoot, and I don't use the hoot very often because that's a word that my grandma used. Towards the end of practice, and you don't know you know that all these guys are friends. You know that they all get along. You know that they all have a great time together. I didn't see anything throughout the practice, but towards the end, I think it was the last drive for the first team. I believe the time on the clock was 1:08. They go down, they scored a touchdown. Gabe Davis caught it. Upon catching the football, he throws the football, like launches the ball, catches it, secures it, and then immediately throws it at Micah Hyde. I wish one of them was mic'd up so we could have heard what the interaction was between them, but they were having fun. And it was funny too, because the referee, they had live refs at the practice. The referee threw a flag. So he threw a penalty and motioned, unsportsmanlike conduct, blah, blah, blah. Because it was a penalty, but it was hilarious. Like, Gabe Davis catches a touchdown and then chucks the ball immediately at Micah Hyde. Like, got it. There you go. And Micah wasn't even covering him. So he wasn't Micah's assignment, which was funny. but it was interesting nonetheless. They're having fun. And I think at the end of the day, I want them to win and have fun. Nobody wants to see them win and not like each other. Like, let's win and have fun. Let's have the whole package. If you can do that, like, right? The offensive line on Friday, and clearly this has changed even today with the news that like certain guys, no, I guess it hasn't changed. This was the offensive line, I'm sure, today at camp, but it's going to be changing soon, which is good news. The offensive line on Friday, Dawkins, Hart, Morse, Bates, Quisenberry. So Ryan Bates was back in the lineup, which was enormously awesome to see. And before long, probably in the next couple of days, we're going to see Dawkins, right? Saffold, Morse, Bates, Spencer Brown. We're going to get to see that offensive line fully intact. The question is, are we going to see it before Saturday? I don't think we are. Maybe we will, but why press it? I guess would be my question. The offensive line on Friday played okay. Allen got sacked several times, but he also had time to make some plays. He was able to escape the pocket and made some good runs. There were some good design calls, which was great. He also ran for his life a few times. What's interesting to me about the scrimmage, for those of you that were there, I don't understand the run plays. I understand the need to do run plays. You've got to do them. You've got to execute them. You've got to line up and right. I mean, it's muscle memory, all that stuff, working through it. It's practice. You've got to do it. But if I could paint a picture for you with the live refs there, like legit referees, NFL referees were there. As soon as anybody gets near the guy with the football, they blow the whistle. The play's dead. The running back continues to run. He continues to do kind of what he was doing, but effectively the play's dead. So they run a running play. As soon as a defender gets near him, Jerome Boger, by the way, was the head ref that was at the practice on Friday, who's one of my favorite refs. But as soon as somebody gets near the runner, like they blow him dead. They blow him down. Which is, so like hand the ball off, dude would take 4 steps, whistle would blow. Even if there was a huge seam. And there was a couple times a couple huge seams. The very first run play they ran, Devin Singletary, I think he ripped off a 50 or 60-yard run. It was great. James Cook had a couple big runs. One of them was on a play that they blew dead by a defender that absolutely would have gotten a hand on him, but never would have like pulled him to the ground. Which brings me to another point. The running backs on this football team, in my opinion, are Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook, which is different than I probably would have said 4 months ago. 4 months ago when the Bills signed Duke Johnson, I thought for sure Duke Johnson was taking, and that was before we had drafted James Cook, right? I thought for sure Duke Johnson was making this football team. I'm just not sure. And I believe I heard or read that Duke Johnson was like returning punts today. That should be the alert to you that there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Houston, who Duke used to play for, Houston, we've got a problem. Duke Johnson is back there taking punt return reps. 26, 20, 28, and Tywan Jones, I believe, are the running backs for this football team. It was wonderful to see Micah Hyde on the field, dancing, jumping around, having fun, playing hard, played all the first team reps. Von Miller did not practice in team drills. He was there. He warmed up, did all that stuff, but then stood on the sideline in a hat, which was, I would have liked to have seen him play. Cody Ford also did not practice that I saw. I'm not saying he didn't practice. He didn't practice that I saw. And then the scare of the day. And I don't think I've seen this reported. I don't remember exactly where it was. It was on the second to last or the last drive. It might have been the last first team drive. Second team drive. It was on one of the last drives. The play happens, whatever. They're like, it's a 2-minute drill. I think it was 108. It was a 108 drill from, I think they left from 35 to 45. Their own 35 or 45. And out of the corner of my eye, I see as the ball's kind of going over his head and gets completed, Jordan Phillips just falls to the ground in a heap, clutching his knee. Out of nowhere, Jordan Phillips just falls to the ground, grabs his knee, and literally the air left the stadium. And then the dude jumped up and ran off the field. He was totally just like faking it and hamming it up. And I have no idea why or what or the reason. Nobody yelled at him. Nobody got mad. It was no big deal. The dude just like fell on the ground, grabbed his knee, laid there for about a breath and a half, jumped up and ran off the field. I heard people around me in the stage going, "You a-hole," like, because they all got nervous because they thought he was hurt. When you see a player fall to the ground with nobody around him and clutch his knee, ACL, that's the first thing you think. It's the Tre'Davious White injury. It's all those guys that get hurt with nobody around them. It's like ACL. And literally that's the fear that went through everybody's minds. But so that was the absolute 1000% scare of the day. I would say this as well, and I'll let you guys go with this. We're pretty much close. The punting battle is interesting. And what the punting battle is going to come down to is Matt Haack is going to have to do whatever he can do to put himself in a position where he is inarguably better than the rookie. Regardless of what you've seen on social media, if you have not been to practice, if you've not been to camp, if you were not there Friday, there's a lot of people that see Matt Araiza kick a ball. Oh my God, the punt god just kicked the ball. He went 65 or 70 yards in the air. What they don't tell you is Matt Araiza and Matt Haack kick a lot of stinkers. Both of them kick a lot of stinkers. They both kick a lot of good balls. Is Matt Araiza beating Matt Haack in hang time on the good punts? Yes, that is absolutely true. The best punt of the day on Friday Matt Haack had went 85 or 90 yards. I'm going to say that again. The best punt, and it was on social media. I saw a bunch of people tweet about it. Matt Araiza just punted a ball 90 or 85, 90 yards, which was 1,000% true. He kicked the ball. It was a wounded duck. It went about 50 yards, 55 yards, hit the ground, bounced away from I think it was Isaiah McKenzie, bounced away from Isaiah McKenzie, and then did one of those bounces where it like took off 1,000 miles an hour and rolled another 40 yards. That was his 85 or 90 yard punt. It was a stinker that got credit. If it was a real game, he got credit for probably a 90 yard punt. It was not a good punt. Matt Araiza and Matt Haack are probably dead even, because Matt Araiza is also now holding, and I've been paying attention to that. That's the other battle to me. It's not the punting battle, it's the holding battle. The holding battle is important. And I had asked Reed Ferguson, what happens? Like, how do you deal with this? Because you've got Corey Bojorquez here, and Tyler Bass suffered from Corey Bojorquez. Corey Bojorquez leaves, and you get Matt Haack, who's an elite holder, and Tyler Bass does great. What are the prospects of having a new holder? And Reed said, we'll adjust. If it comes down to that, if that's the way that this goes, we'll adjust. We'll make do. So to me, the battle is about the holding and then the punting. But right now they're even, in my opinion. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. It's sexy to have a guy in your team called the punt god, but he's got to be consistent. If you're the punt god and you shank a 40-yarder, you're not the god of much, in my opinion. But as Richard Rush just said, this is exactly right. If it's even, the rookie wins. 1,000%. That's exactly right. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. I'm your host. I'm the voice of the Overreaction Sports Show. My name is Joe Miller. You find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. As always, again, we've got a ticket competition or a ticket contest in effect. I'll be drawing a winner on Wednesday. Please do me a favor. Jump over to Twitter. Follow me. I just put a link in the comments section. Jump over to YouTube. Search Overreaction Sports Show. Subscribe. Screenshot it. DM me. I'll be picking a winner for my seats to this week's preseason game on the Hump Day Hotline. Live. Until then, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. As always, we'll talk to you on Monday, Phoenix Show. Talk to you on Wednesday, Hump Day Hotline. Go Bills.